I am Jess Partridge, as I mentioned. I run a group of magazines called London, Berlin, and Bristol and Stereo. They've been going for 8 years, and I also do a bunch of other things on the side, including working with the wonderful Wide Days. I am honored to be joined here today with two digital experts. Fiona McAuley is the head of digital for UK music at international management company YMU Group. They represent loads of acts, including Years and Years, Take That, Blink-182, Clean Bandit, just some small little ones that you've never heard of. Ryan Whitman is the Associate Director for Digital Marketing at the Orchard in the US. He's joining us from Pennsylvania today. He runs a team out of New York and Nashville, and they've worked on loads of releases ranging from Georgia Smith to Kelsey Ballerini and Max, and loads of independent artists too, which obviously is super important here. So guys, welcome. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Good morning, afternoon. Thanks for having us.
So let's just jump straight into TikTok. I'm no TikTok expert, which I think gives me an advantage of being able to ask lots of pretty basic questions to get people started. So you guys, it would be great if you could start off with talking about a great example of TikTok use you've seen or you've developed within your team. Fiona, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I'll go first. So hi everyone. So I work really closely with a band called Years and Years, managed by my company. And about a couple of months ago, just before lockdown, we, along with their label Polydor, realized that a cover that they did about 6 years ago called Breathe, originally by Blue Cantrell and Sean Paul, had gone viral on TikTok just totally organically. And we noticed that because it had gone viral on streaming services as well. So at one point, it was the 6th most reactive song on Spotify UK. So we dug into it and had a look on TikTok. Somebody had randomly uploaded a remixed clip of a part of the song that everyone started making TikTok videos to. And it was crazy, and it just happened totally organically. And whilst we kind of been waiting for the right time to launch their TikTok profile, this just felt like the perfect time, obviously. So we set up their profile, and Ollie did a really amazing version of the challenge. We uploaded that, and it just completely blew up. I think over the first weekend, it had 390,000 views, that one video, and the account gained 12,000 followers. And that activity on TikTok also reversed the decline in streams on streaming services. And then alongside that, to make sure that it wasn't just purely kind of promotional activity or activity around their own songs, Ollie also jumped in and got completely involved in the platform himself and just loved it.
Do we have some examples to share of Ollie's activity?
I believe we do. So we should have a screenshot of, he did a couple of duet videos, if Michael has that to hand. So basically, he reacted to a couple of, so there we go. So a couple of people who had loads of views on their own versions of the challenge, he reacted to them. And that one, I think, got like 500,000 views, and the other reaction video got 1 million views. It's insane. It's just insane. But then he also did a couple of things that weren't related to the song around that time as well. He just kind of jumped in. He did a TikTok about getting ready with nowhere to go because of lockdown and all this kind of stuff. So he really leaned into the platform. And I think that's something that is really important. I'm sure we'll talk about that a lot more. But just had a lot of fun with it. And I think that's the key, is just jumping in and getting involved, seeing what other people are doing, having a look at what songs are trending and what hashtags are trending, and getting involved.
Great. So Ryan, do you want to continue with some of the great examples you guys have worked on as well?
Yeah, sure, I would love to. And I love what Years and Years are doing, by the way. Their TikTok it's great. On our end, I'd love to touch upon two very drastically different examples. First, I'd love to talk about Jake Miller, who is a pop artist that we work very closely with. And right now, he doesn't have any music that he's releasing, but he's really taking advantage of the platform. I think that we have an example of him as well. During this time, he's been doing quarantunes, which are very timely. So the one that we have an example of here is Take a Walk. It is about his mother continually asking him to take walks during quarantine. If we want to play that one real quick.
My mama keeps asking me to take a walk. Take a walk! Bro, we've done 30 circles around this block. It's too hot! All the food I wanna eat is out of stock. Out of stock! I need some eggs.
Ask the neighbors, they got lots.
Oh my God. I'm so bored, I'm painting rocks. I'm so bored, I'm switching socks. I'm so bored, I'm counting dots.
Jake?
Yeah?
Can we go for another walk?
So yeah, that's Take a Walk by Jake Miller. And what's great about this is it's hitting so many different points. It's giving viewers who are already fans a little bit of an insight into who he is, his family dynamic, and his humor. And at the same time, it's drawing in new fans as well. That video, it's video 2 of, I think he might have 5 quarantunes out now. And that one has about 7 million views. And now about 2,480 people have made their own videos to quarantune number 2. And at the same time, it also shows his musical ability and his talent at being able to produce in that kind of a situation. And over the course of him doing these videos, we've seen his followers just rise tremendously. He's now at, I think, over 400,000 followers on the TikTok platform. And it's just something that's fun and organic, and it's not promotional per se to him, but at the same time, it's bringing in community. And I feel like at the end of the day, that's really what social media is all about, is creating these communities, bringing fans together and showing off your personality, especially on TikTok. But a lovely benefit has been seeing his catalog starting to boost up. And now we know that when we do have new music coming out, we have this great foundation of fans who are already there and already invested in who he is as a person. The other example that I'd love to touch upon is Kelsey Ballerini in a different form. She just had her great album come out called Kelsey. Kelsey is a country pop artist in her own right, and she had a song come out called Club, but of course, none of us can go to the club at the moment. So we ended up having a strategy go live of a club challenge. And so this is Kelsey saying, am I gonna go to the club? And she gets all ready, but it's taking the club transformation and instead going into her quarantine transformation of staying at home,
Right.
where she ends up back in her sweats. And so fans have been jumping on and doing this, and it's been such a fun promotion for fans and for people to get involved in, because at this time where everybody's home in their sweats for the most part, it's a fun excuse for people to get dressed up, have a little bit of fun, and also showcase their humorous sides by coming down into their sweats. But then we've also seen an uptick on streams of the song and an uptick in followers. So it's just been a nice, fun way to connect with old fans and new.
Nice. So it seems from both examples that maybe TikTok is kind of unique in the fact that you don't need to be so slick with everything you're creating. Would you say that's right? Do you think that people can kind of jump in with it in that way?
I would say yes. I think that we've seen over the years with the different social platforms, different trends lead audiences to the next big thing. And I feel like before this, the big hot thing was Instagram, which is still big and still hot. But I think that, oh, sorry, something is happening here on my end. Okay, I'm back. But I think that what's kind of happened with Instagram is it's really moved into that very highly curated content. It's showing what you would like your life to look like. And it's very much, this is how I want to present myself. And I think especially for the younger generation, they've moved to TikTok because we're so much about video content now.
Yeah.
And also, ooh, I'm sorry, I keep having this little notification pop up on my iPad. And I'm like, please, no, not now. But I'm seeing like the younger generation wanting to move over to TikTok. because it's not about what you want your life to look like or what you want to present to people. It's what life actually is. It is content that's relatable and timely and that people are interested in being involved in and speaks to them.
Yeah, and I think it's largely about having fun as well, like and you know, about being authentic. That is the biggest thing that kind of hits, and that's why, you know, promotional videos and things like that generally don't really work that well on the platform, because that's not what it's about. It's about everyday life, and it's about these stupid, ridiculous, often ridiculous, you know, dance challenges, or you know, people just being a little bit stupid and having fun on the platform. I think that's what it's all about.
So what kind of advice, say there's a bunch of artists or managers or even like venues and things like that that are watching now and they want to get involved in using TikTok, what advice would you give them to like start out and start working on what they do on the platform?
I think the easiest way to get involved is to just jump in and have a look what other people are doing. So I think the best place to start is go onto your Discover page in the app and have a look at the trending hashtags and see what they are, what people are doing with those hashtags. Another good place to go is the music page, which you can get to if you're starting a TikTok video. You then go into the sounds page and you can see all of the music there. So there are different playlists. One of them is UK Viral and one of them is UK Hot 40. So Viral is viral on the platform and the UK Hot 40 is curated by TikTok. So I think a really good way to get started with your own activity is maybe picking off one of those viral tracks or sounds and getting creative with that. I think also because it is so different to so many other social media platforms, there are so many kind of creative tools within TikTok that when you first look at it, it can be a little bit daunting. So I think just play around with it, just play around with all the different kinds of editing functions, and just really spend some time doing that and getting to grips with it. It's so creative and there's so much you can do with it. So I think just try it out. Trial and error is the best way to do anything. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Delete it and do something else.
Great.
I feel like I couldn't say it better myself. I feel like that's the perfect place to start, is that Discover page and looking at trending sounds and seeing what people are doing, checking out your For You page and really getting an understanding of the platform and making sure that when you are doing something that it feels organic to you. I think that was right on the money, Fiona, with also trial and error, just trying things. I mean, the best thing about these social media platforms as well is if you try something in the early days and you say, I don't like how that turned out, maybe that wasn't the best thing, it's so easy to delete and it's so easy to start anew and afresh. And when looking at those trending sounds and everything, there's normally people are doing that goes along with it. But at the same time, I feel like the fun part of what's happening on the platform with these challenges is that while there may be a set challenge in place that people are doing or a set dance or a set thing, is that it's so easy to take that and evolve it into something that feels comfortable for yourself. And I think with all social platforms, it's who are you, and not trying to fit into any sort of box, but doing what feels right for your brand and who you are. So it feels organic and brings people in.
Great. So I know a big question for a lot of acts is like, how do you do that years and years thing? How do you get your song on the platform? How do you get it noticed? Like, just what is the basic process for that? And Brian, working at a distributor means that I'm hoping you'll have some kind of insight into the basics of how the music interacts with the platform and how you can take advantage of that.
Yeah, so on the distributor side, I'm very lucky where luckily I'm not on the back end having to deal with pushing things directly to. I leave that to our ops team, thank goodness. But how we're working with things is as part of our delivery system. So when we're delivering your song out to the DSPs, we're also delivering that song over to TikTok. And we have in there for people putting their music through us what segment they want as their preview segment. And I feel like that's a big thing with the songs on TikTok, and when you're having success with the song on TikTok, is what portion are you using? Because most people, you're using a short snippet, about 15 seconds. So I think it's finding, what is that? Is it the hook of the song, or is there maybe a part that just completely stands out where that's what you want to roll with? So I would say having a great distributor to help get onto the platform, and being able to find that certain segment that you feel is really the strongest part of your song. As for how it's affecting the other platforms, I mean, it's great. Like I was mentioning with the Kelsey Ballerini Club example, and with Jake Miller, that we're seeing these upticks in catalog, that we're seeing these upticks in these new songs as they're coming out. I think having a strategy around how you want things to release and come up on the platform is great. Like being able to say, okay, we have club, let's do a club challenge where people are going from their club look to sweats. I also think it's, if you have the budget in place, it's always great to look into influencer marketing or reaching out to your friends who are already on the platform and doing things, and reaching out to fans. I think having a good look at who are your top fans, who's already on the platform, and finding fun ways to engage them. Something that I think has been really cool to see just out and about in the world is artists now putting up segments of their songs before they're even released onto TikTok, so that people start using the sound and start getting familiar, and then the song is out and you're like, oh, that was that TikTok sound. Now it's out and about in the world.
So I guess being very, like, the biggest takeaways there are, you get your song on TikTok through your distributor. So however you get your music on your regular DSPs, that is also how. And I know for a fact that, you know, it is so key to have that snippet being the right snippet. And I've talked to people in the past that have adjusted that snippet, especially for TikTok, because actually this part of the song would work better. Fiona, do you feel like that's true for you guys as well? Like, is there anything else you want to add in terms of getting your music heard on the platform and getting that kind of over to Spotify, especially with the years and years and everything that's happened there?
Yeah, 100%. The 15-second snippet is so important. You need to think about what the connection from the song to TikTok behavior would be, and think about that really closely. So I think people have probably noticed that a lot of activity around kind of like viral songs and stuff like that will be around a drop in a song where something happens in the video based on the drop in the song, or it could be something to do with the lyrics. It could be a hook, you know. There's the pew 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 video that's kind of a sound that's trending at the minute. So many creative things are happening to that. So I think that's really key. And I think Ryan made a really good point about influencer activity as well. I think it's not always natural for every artist or band to have a presence on the platform. They may not feel like it's the right time for them, or that it generally fits within their brand. So, but there are other ways that you can have presence on the platform without you physically being there yourself. And I've done that in the past, working with influencer agencies, where we launch a campaign with a selection of influencers. Maybe, you know, they come up with a challenge, or they come up with several challenges, and we see what works and what kind of starts to show a bit of momentum. And another thing I've done in the past, I know I talked about not really putting too much promotional content on the platform, but sometimes that can work in your favor if you're trying to build an audience there and migrate your followers from one channel to another. So I previously worked at Polydor and worked with Mabel, and we teased a section of her music video for Mad Love on her TikTok profile before anywhere else. And that was around the time that we launched her profile. So that kind of helped to move some of her followers over onto that profile. And then, you know, following that kind of activity, she was a bit more kind of naturally active on the platform, so that it wasn't obviously purely promotional activity. But yeah, I think there are lots of things that you can try out. But the key thing is that 15-second snippet for sure.
Great.
I mean, sorry. I was just going to say, to piggyback off of that, first of all, when I was talking about the 15-second segment, what was in my head was pew pew pew, it's a chopper. So I love that we're connected across the ocean, Fiona. On
so good.
I love it. It's so good. It's so catchy. And kind of like what you were saying about having artists on the platform, I do think that's super important when having your music involved in TikTok, because if you're verified as well, you can have your sounds there as well, which is great. But also, I think a big part of the platform is we have artists who haven't even uploaded yet, who are on the platform and have maybe 5,000 followers with no content. I think a big thing, no matter what social platform you're on, is if people are going to be talking about you, they really want the chance for you to be able to see it. And I think that's a big thing, is it's like, well, I could do a TikTok and I could use this artist song, or I could do a TikTok around this artist, but they're not here. So I don't really have the opportunity to be noticed by the artist or get any love from the artist. So even just being there really gives you a step ahead, you know, of the competition. And also just on the delivery side, to make sure that your catalog is also being delivered over to TikTok. Just like Fiona was saying with that cover for Years and Years, you never know what's going to take off. And a lot of artists are coming to us saying, hey, remember that song that we released with you like 5 years ago? All of a sudden people are using it on TikTok. What do I do? So you never know what song and when and where and why and how.
Yeah, I think that that's such a great point about, like, fans might be using it and they want you to see and they want you to know that they are. So even if you don't want to necessarily post loads, it can be good to be on there so people can tag you, find you, and know that there's a chance you'll see it.
Yeah.
So kind of getting towards wrapping up, we've talked a lot about how it doesn't have to be as like slick and how you just need to be inventive and kind of jump in, but how does TikTok compare to like other platforms? How can you use it? You kind of touched on it a bit, Fiona, with the Mabel story, but can you upload your TikToks to your Instagram stories? Is that the kind of thing that works? Are you finding that content or imagery that is used for your other platforms can be used on TikTok, or how do you feel about that?
Well, I think the nature of TikTok content is just so it's so social media friendly to every other platform. There's so many people I know, so many friends of mine and stuff, who have sent me links to TikTok videos that have been posted on Twitter and Instagram, and they don't have TikTok profiles and they love TikTok, but they just won't download it. So I think it's definitely it's so easy to download the videos and push them out everywhere else. And it's still really good to do that, because it kind of shows off your creativity and how fun you are, and it's just good content for your other profiles as well. I think the point that you were making about TikTok not needing to be slick, I think it doesn't necessarily work the other way around. So if you have kind of like a posting schedule as a band or an artist, and you have certain types of content that are going out on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, that won't work for TikTok. It has to be unique. You almost have to have your own plan for TikTok alongside everything else.
So your TikTok stuff can work on other platforms, but your other platform stuff can't necessarily work on TikTok.
Not all the time.
Yeah. Okay. Brian, any more thoughts on especially the kind of cross-pollination of content on your different social medias?
Yeah, I would just say that I really agree with everything that Fiona was mentioning. And I do agree that the content that you make elsewhere may not always work on TikTok, but TikTok really does work everywhere else. And seeing that so many people are now coming to the platform, I feel like it's a great time to cross-pollinate and bring fans over to your TikTok page. I think as an artist as well, something I've been seeing artists do that I think is really fun is sharing on TikTok, maybe on IGTV or on a post saying, hey, somebody did this vocal cover of my song, or like, look at this dance that somebody made for my song on TikTok. And that's just a great way to promote people to keep making more content and be involved. And as we were saying before, if you're on the platform, it lets fans know I can tag you, you're going to see it. And that's the perfect way to reward that behavior and say, I see you, and I love what you're doing, and please make more of it because I'm watching it and I'm in this with you as the artist.
Again, that's a really good point. Like, it doesn't have to be your own content. like it can be other people's content you're posting towards, especially if they're using your song space, whatever else that they are using.
And we actually did that recently with Years and Years. So we didn't have an official video for that cover on YouTube, on their YouTube channel. So Polydor created a lyric video made of all of the different TikToks to the song, and that just went up last week. So that's a kind of a good way to reward creators who are using the song on the platform and encourage more activity, like you were saying, Ryan.
I love that. And also with bringing people over to the platform, with the introduction of TikTok Live, it's the perfect time to start building your audience, because if you end up wanting to go live on that platform, you need to have at least 1,000 followers. So now's the time to start building that up, especially since everyone is going live right now. I feel like a lot of people on Instagram might be starting to get live fatigue because there's so many lives going on. So if you're able to do that on TikTok, that then gives your fans a special kind of experience. And since people haven't been doing it that long, it really lets you decide what it's going to look like. It's kind of like the open frontier. So now's the time to start building up that audience and start doing TikTok Live so you can be one of those, have that first mover advantage.
Great. So that's actually the end of our chat. Thanks so much. But we're going to send it over to a Q&A. And I'm going to hand you over to Michael, because he's been keeping an eye on the questions coming in as they do. So Michael, do you want to take over and ask some of the questions, please?
Yeah, absolutely. That was really great. I'm definitely going to spend my weekend trying to become a TikTok sensation. That's the plan. We've had a ton of questions though, so we'll get through as many as we can. So I'll dive straight into them. The first one's from Will, and the question is, how do you add your own music to a video and ensure that other users can use it to recreate their own versions of a video? For example, a viral dance video. Can you control what part of the song you use?
Yes, so there it comes back to how you're uploading to TikTok, whether you're going through a distributor or however you're uploading your music to music services. And that kind of comes back to choosing that 15-second segment for the song that you're looking to use. To add a song, it's what Fiona was talking about a little bit earlier, that when you're creating a TikTok, if you hit the plus sign at the bottom of the screen to create your video, at the top of the screen, you'll see sounds, and that's where the whole sound catalog is. As an artist, you should be able to search your sound and it will appear there. But also for like a quarantine situation like Jake Miller, if you do something like that where you're performing acoustically and then you post it, say that it's me, Ryan Whitman, that then the sound on my video would be original sound by Ryan Whitman. If you tap that sound and you're the creator, then you're able to edit that there. So I could do like Ryan Whitman quarantine song, and then that would be the official song. And if people look that up, it'll pop up and they'll be able to use that sound. Also, if they're clicking the song that you have on your TikTok, it'll bring them to a page of everyone who's used that sound. And there's an option to add that to your favorites. So when you're in the sounds page, you have a favorites section and people can have that sound pop up super easily. I'm not sure if Fiona, is there anything that I'm missing there or any other tips or tricks that you would suggest?
I think that was it covered. Yeah.
Excellent, thanks. The second question is, do you have any tips for working from the ground up with TikTok and getting enough followers to make an impact in the first place?
I think the best advice there is getting involved in the viral hashtags and the viral music, and just, you know, general trends on the platform. And I think anyone can, it's kind of different to other social platforms in that you don't necessarily need thousands and thousands of followers to have viral activity or to get loads of views on your content. But I think just being active, being as active as possible, getting involved in all of those kinds of challenges, engaging with other people. So doing reaction videos and duet videos with other people, and kind of reaching out that way, I think is the best way to just grow it.
I completely agree. And something that we were talking about a little bit before we went live was some friends of ours going live onto the TikTok platform and trying different content out. Like a friend of mine ended up uploading a video of his dog, and now his dog's videos are blowing up. And he's like, I never thought that this would be the thing. I was like, well, it is the thing. So you got to run with it. You got to ride with it. So kind of going back to what Fiona was saying earlier about experimenting, with the platform, trying different types of content. What I love about TikTok is that they tend to always say about themselves that they're an equal opportunity platform. So you never really know what people are going to latch on to. So maybe you're on the platform doing covers all the time, but who knows, maybe you'll upload a video of your dog and it will blow up, and that'll bring people back to the page. So different forms of content and getting involved in those challenges, that'll help bring people back and help you really start to build.
Cool, great. We've got a question from Catch that asks what kind of potential there is for TikTok for non-musicians, so for promoters, venues, festivals, people that aren't artists. You guys seen any examples or anything you could point to?
I know that a few artists that we've talked with in the past have created specific things for venues, like a TikTok of them doing sound check, or maybe a TikTok of them during the live show, or doing something special for that venue. I would say maybe finding something that's fun and specific to your venue that you can do with artists. I think a great spot to kind of look to with this is what different publications have done on YouTube. Like, I love the expensive taste tests or things like that, or swiping through Tinder. So finding something that's short and fun that you could do maybe on your channel. Like maybe if the artists come in and have a special talent that they're able to do in the portion of a TikTok, giving them something that is exclusive content of that artist that they can only find on your channel, and that is specific to you and helps you kind of grow your brand out a little bit. That's what I would suggest on my end.
Yeah, I think a good way to approach it is translating what you would do for your venues, other social platforms into a TikTok native world. So yeah, if it is that you were getting an artist to do a cover, or you know, like a takeover on your Instagram for the day, like, can you do that on TikTok, and what is the TikTok activity they'd be doing? So it would be more like themed around a challenge or a creative video piece that's edited down, or using TikTok filters and stuff like that. I think it's just thinking about it specifically for what TikTok is good for is a good way to approach it. Great.
We've got a question from Karine who asks, how do you link TikTok buzz to real streaming? So I guess, how do you know, if you accidentally go viral on TikTok, how do you then translate that into the rest of your activity and the rest of your catalog?
On my end, I feel like there's so many ways to go about that. Some of them I feel like we touched upon, like sharing those TikToks of people using the song onto your other social platforms to raise awareness. I think something else that's great in that situation is maybe creating like a Spotify playlist and having that song be the first song on the playlist and including some of your catalog. I think it's taking that opportunity and really running with it, creating your own TikToks, commenting on people who are using it, saying like, hey, love what you did here with my song, because maybe they don't know you, they just know the sound. So if they see you commenting underneath and like, wait, this is the person who actually made this piece of art is commenting on my post, and bring them back to your page. So that's what I would suggest, is just making sure as well that your TikTok profile is optimized. Have your Instagram included, your YouTube, have a link out, make sure that people can find you and know how to access you and your content. And if we're talking about catalog, I would say looking into what can we do on other platforms to maybe bring this back up to people who aren't necessarily on TikTok. What can we do off of the TikTok platform to keep supporting this song and keep it moving?
Great. Thanks very much. We're going to have to wrap it up there. Unfortunately, we had a load more questions, so we can maybe try and save those and answer them in some other kind of way. But unfortunately, we've got another session kicking off in 20 minutes. So listen, thanks so much, Ryan, Fiona, and Jess for taking part today. We really appreciate it, especially for you, Ryan, getting up nice and early. So yeah, you're all more than welcome to join us for the rest of the day. We've got a workshop kicking off at 2:30. So if everyone wants to head back over to the main website window, you can either jump into the sort of open networking room, or you can hang around for the next session at 2:30. Thanks very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.